I understand that sometimes it gets really frustrating as to how a follow-up is to be taken. Number one, if the person says a direct no or does not, or keeps on dilly-dallying you for a while, 3, 4, 5 times, you need to understand that if the person is rejecting, if the person is dilly-dallying, it's not you who is dilly-dallying, it's the product. So you have to differentiate yourself from your personal self to your professional self. So yeah, as I was saying, learning to handle rejection, right? Many a times we place too much of a self prestige associated with the time of hearing no. So whenever somebody in my sales team comes along, the first thing I say is learn to handle no before learning to rejoice in a yes, right? And it's not you who the client is rejecting, it's the other, it's your product, it's your organization. So learn to be impersonal about it. Second thing that I have seen works very well in manually kept Excel sheets for follow-ups is color coding. So when you see when you work on an Excel sheet and there is a green color coding and a yellow color coding and a red color coding, that gives you a sense, a visual perception of how many good quality leads you have. So if that color coding sequencing is done, I have seen that motivates it. It works on some kind of a psychic level to help you convert the sales deal better. And the third that works in responding to a lead as it is generated is that it works in the now, right? So many a times we work too much on the leads that we have matured to a certain extent, whereas uh, the best to approach a lead is when the lead is provided to you. So the response time from the lead allocation to the lead calling makes a much of, because in today's automated world there is so much coming in together at the same time, so many leads being generated and so many people spending their time digitally on social media. It becomes very easy for them to connect when they put in a number, they punch in their details hoping to get a call back, and in the next half an hour or 1 hour they actually do get that call back. Works wonders because you have already, that person has already had that interest in his mind retained till the time you actually go ahead and call them up and just strengthen on that interest of theirs. Second, personalizing your pitch. And this is something that I have seen works very, very well in terms of developing a first impression on the client. All right. So personalizing your pitch, your PPT, and if possible, yourself. Right. So what do I mean by this? All right. So number one is you have to customize your pitching. That way old method of doing something which has been going on for years and years, and that stale old PPT doesn't work anymore, right? You have to spend time researching the company. You have to spend time researching about the stakeholder who you're going to have a communication with. And this works really well in a corporate scenario where you're trying to put in big clients. In the smaller ones, I understand that's not possible to kind of understand their profile before calling, but in the bigger ones, definitely go on their social media pages, go on their websites and understand what is happening and how what are they doing in the corresponding space that you are pitching a product into. Too rehearsed can be a turn off. And this I say, whenever you have a personal conversation, whenever you are having a personal conversation too much, when you are presenting yourself to the client, if it is a very rehearsed monologue, mark my words, the client can get a hint of it, the client does understand it. So if it is too rehearsed, it just makes up for a very turn off by the client, thinking that you are just presenting a well rehearsed pitch and there is nothing personal in it for him. Telling versus selling, right? So if I say I have 100 products to pitch for you, or 100 products that I think can benefit from your can benefit to your company. Instead of saying that, if I actually put up and say that, okay, I know that your organization does this XYZ, because I have already studied the organization, and I think this product from my product metrics will help you. That presents a much more ease of conversation to the client. All right. Good. Smart tactics and extremely important. And these are conversation starters. Anybody in sales, I tell them, if you are not natural storyteller, please take a course and become one. But be good at storytelling, be good at personalizing your conversations, be good at knowing people, right? Sales is not just about your product or your service, and sales is not just about selling. Sales is about closing a relationship for a lifetime, right? And I firmly believe in that. And just to give you an example, all right, there was a meeting, and I think some of you may have heard this example before. There was a client called Bombay Shaving Company, and Mr. Shantanu Deshpande, he's the owner of that company. I used to love speaking to him on social media. He accepted my LinkedIn request and he used to respond back to me. But the minute I used to give him 5 minutes of his time, he would ghost me up. He would never respond back. Then again, I spoke to him. Uh, about something, he would again respond me. But the minute I asked him for a 5 minutes to pitch my service, he would again ghost me. So one fine day, he made some kind of a random post on LinkedIn about how he is all for female rock stars in his team, for female salespeople in his team, and he loves the spirit with which female rock stars multitask and do all of that, right? And what did I do? I took up that post, tagged him, tagged that same post to him in his message box, and then I wrote just one line: Sir, can I now get 5 minutes of your time? Now, what did that do? That just went on. I mean, now he cannot afford to say no to me. He has to give the 5 minutes to me because he can't go back against the principle that he has so blatantly broadcasted on the social media, right? So you need to have those conversation starters. You need to have some kind of story to sell, and you need to see the kind of environment, timing, and action that you place onto making the first pitch of sales. All right. Okay. Uh, Let me try and share my screen again. Give me a minute. All right. The next one is what I call the dhania mirchi sale, right? So your moms, the females in our houses, you see how we haggle with the vegetable seller for an extra dhania mirchi along with the vegetables that we buy. And that dhania mirchi makes our day, and that dhania mirchi is more precious to us than everything else that we've purchased or bought after having had negotiations. Do the dhania mirchi sale in everything that you sell. Always keep one or two products or features or services in reserve. Do not open all your cards together at once. As salespeople, what we do is we want to present our best foot forward in the first interaction that we have. My strong suggestion would be keep back some deal clinching extra special features in your kitty for the close of the sale, when the person is haggling with you for negotiation, when the person is haggling with you for discounts, or when the person is delaying your sale too much. Put in those features at the end. That works brilliantly, right? So this is what I, in my definition, call the dhania mirchi sale. It's now or never, right? So you must have received calls from other people that, if you register today, you will get a 20% discount. Or madam, if you register tomorrow, if you register by the end of day today, you will also get this along with the main product. So those are all sharp angle closes. Those are all the dhania mirchi sale that every organization aims at. And please focus on that to make the difficult sales, or the ones which are taking a longer life cycle, to be able to close them. All right. Next, conserving your energy for the decision maker is very important. As a salesperson, what we do is, if we find somebody on the other end of the call, we go into our selling mode and we start talking right from the company to what we do, to what our service is, to what we were doing 20 years back, to what we are planning to do 10 years later. We explain the person everything. And then all of a sudden we realize, oh, this person was not the right person, because he says, okay, I think we are good to go. I will make you meet my higher designation, or I will make you meet the CFO, or I will make you meet the other person who is supposedly taking a decision on them. And when that response comes from the other person, you are left thinking that you just wasted 45 minutes of your 9 hour duty on someone explaining something which probably that person was not even the relevant person to explain to. So before you start explaining something to someone, please understand, just because it's a lead, don't go into a sales mode. Understand who that person is, how, because most of the time leads are brought in by admin people. How to know they're not the decision maker? Correct. So when you speak to the person, before just jumping onto a sales call, just ask the person what is their designation, why have they placed the lead, are they placing the lead for somebody else, would would they be okay with scheduling a call with somebody else? So these are certain questions that you can ask Shri Devi to understand the profile of the person. And you can understand if you are wanting to sell something, and you understand from the designation that it's an admin department person calling, you understand that's not the right person to sell, right? If you want to sell, if it's a marketing agency wanting to get a contract with the with any organization, right? And the first person that speaks to them belongs to the finance department or the HR department, you obviously understand that they are not the persons who are going to be decision makers. So you immediately, very intelligently ask them, who is the person who is handling marketing in your organization? Can you kindly hook me up with that person so that I understand? I mean, so that what I talk starts making more sense. I would love to explain it to you, but I realize there might be some terms and jargons which may go bounce over your head. I mean, it's okay. Just smile and say that, and try and get a detailed intricacy about whether they are the decision makers or not. Now, I also understand that at the first instance, you will not get the decision. All right, that is okay, but at least somebody in the relevant department. So if it's a product based, you know that you need to have an understanding with the procurement person. You need to have an understanding with the CEO. You need to have an understanding with the finance person. So if these are the people who are stakeholders of the meeting or of the call that you are making, then that means you're on the right track. Then that means they are the decision makers. I hope I answered your questions, Shri. All right. So conserve your energy, because at the end of the day, you feel very frustrated when you've made 9 calls and out of them, 4 of them did not belong to the decision maker. That's like a half a day wasted. All right. Next sales tactic, puppy love. Now, what do you mean by puppy love? Now, it's not the puppy love that we talk about generally in a very loose sense of the term. It's not about teenage crush and teenage romances. Puppy love has got more to do with the kind of experience that happens when you walk into a puppy shop. When you walk into a pet shop, howsoever hardcore an animal hater you are, when those cute little puppies come up and curl around your feet, even the best of people, they melt down, and they look up to the sale ratio goes very higher, right? They are willing to adopt and all of that. So puppy love is that hook that you put onto the customer. It can be in the form of a freemium. Yeah, I hope you understand what is a freemium. Freemium is any kind of a service package which is available for a 30 days trial period at free. Or what Geo did when they landed with their internet data packages. Look at how much money you are paying today. You will understand how the freemium went on to put in that hook into you, so that you take that bite and then you are hooked forever. So puppy love is a very, very important aspect in the closing of a sale. Please go ahead and give a free trial of your product. Please go ahead and give a free trial of your service. Do a master class. Do anything that hooks the person. That takes it, it's like a well played trailer, right? It's like a well made trailer. So if the trailer is good, there are 90% chances that you might just go and watch the movie and spend money on the tickets, right? Okay, let's move ahead. So, and yes, one more thing that works with puppy love, don't just stop it there. When you make that when you make that free offer or a trial of something, also try and not close the sale at the same time, but please try to make it by an LOI or a token amount kind of structure. Okay, what we do is we try to make the maximum money from one sale, just because we are so target driven, so target bound. In my experience, I have seen, instead of signing the bigger agreement, which takes a lot of legal compliances and to and fro, and the legal department asking and all of that, that takes a lot of time, right? Your sales cycle goes huge. Instead of that, take a one pager LOI. LOI is letter of intent. One pager LOI and a 1% or a 2% or a 10% token amount submission. So this is basically what it's a compressed form of the sale happening, wherein you are confirmed that the person has generated the interest. So let's say the ticket size is 1 CR, 1 crore ticket size. So obviously 1 crore will not close over a day. But yes, if you tell them, boss, this is what I offer you today, but you need to pay a token amount of 2 lakh rupees and sign this LOI with me so that I can be assured of your interest into my product. And then you take another 30 days to manage the remaining funds, that I have seen has a much higher closure rate than trying to get the whole 1 CR together at once. So try, once you've given that freemium, please try following it up with a LOI or a token amount. Okay, let's go on the next slide. Sharp distraction. Okay, another technique. Now, again, this is not a jargon, it's not a terminology, it's just something that I say. So what happens when you're playing with the kid and there are lots of toys of him or her available to him, right? And the minute you take away one toy, that is the toy that he will focus upon. That is the toy that he will want. Leaving aside all the other toys that are lying stacked in his almirah, strewn around the ground. But the minute you take away one toy from him, that is all that he can focus on, right? So sales also works on that kind of a distraction. When you find price point is becoming too much of a constraint in closing, or the client is haggling or negotiating too much, take away one important feature. Say, okay, sir, I agree to your proposition for commercials. I agree to what you are planning to pay me, but unfortunately, this is such a premium quality that the premium feature that I can't give it to you in this cost. So I will take away that premium fee. Now, for some time, the person is distracted from commercials and focused more that I want this premium feature. How could Rimjhim take it away from me? That gives you opportunity to negotiate. That gives you opportunity to come at a win-win structure wherein probably you also concede a little bit on negotiation and he's also willing to go a little higher because you've distracted him away from the commercials and focused on the premiumness of the feature. All right. So rather than cost, please bring focus on the value of the proposition that you offer. Next, automating your sales process. Extremely important. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it is that digital transformation is inevitable. You cannot do without it. You cannot just say, oh no, I'm going to follow my traditional methods and still make money. You have to concede to the digital transformation that the corona has accelerated and move on to automating your sales process. So your pre-sales, your lead filtering, your CRM process, your daily mailers, all of this could be automated, and it is automated at a very cheap price available because of severe competition. We associate tech to a very high ticket size. Please go out and explore local vendors, competitors in the market. They give you cutting edge technology, but at a very nice price. Please look at automating your sales process. Now, when I say automating, it is of course involvement of tech into your sales process, but it's not just that. There are certain things that have become redundant in the automation today. If there, there there used to be a time, used to be very hip and trending. What do you mean by form filling? Okay, if you are interested, please submit this form and somebody will get back to you. Today nobody has the time to fill up a form and send to you. So please get rid of this method completely. Nobody, if you expect that somebody is going to come back, fill up their details on a form and then you will contact them, that's not going to happen, right? All they need is a very simple, clear CTA, name, number, email ID. That's all. No long form fillings. All right. Also, when I talk about automation, in there's a lot of campaigns that run when we run marketing campaigns. There'll be a lot of marketing people who will understand what I say next. So when we run marketing campaigns, one thing that I brainstormed with my marketing guy was that if we put in an additional column of how soon are you going to start this business, or how soon are you going to buy, and give categories of 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, then the person, you leverage it, the customer responds that this is their sales cycle. You get a hint of the responses that the customer gives you, that they are planning to close this sale in 0 to 30 or 30 to 60 or 60 to 90, whatever it is. Now once you have that data on your hand, you can very easily focus all your energies on the 0 to 30 bracket. That helps you filter down your lead to 1/3 and understand that these are the top priority leads because they have the highest priority of closing in this particular month, and accordingly prioritize and sequence the later ones, which is 0 to 60 and 0 to 90. All right, so please get into the habit of automating, not doing everything on your own. All right, last, one of the last, not last exactly. Okay, so always close a sale at a lose-lose, not a win-win. Now, I know this may sound a little strange to all of you. Okay, let me showcase this. Let me flash this slide again so that you read what I've written. All right. Number one thought that I want you to have in your mind is your customer is equivalent to your mother-in-law. Number one. Okay. And second, please prefer a committed relationship over a one night stand. Now, I know they are very bold statements to make, but I want to make you understand what am I trying to say in terms of the sales perspective. All right. So when your customer, if you equate your customer with your mother-in-law, right? So with your mother-in-law, you cannot afford to win, because then the mother-in-law is one fuming lady, right? You cannot afford to lose, because then once you concede with your mother-in-law, you always concede with your mother-in-law. Win-win is not a possibility, because when both the people rise up from the table thinking they have won over the other, it will just be a transaction. But when both the people leave the table thinking, I lost something in this deal, I wish I could have done more, I wish I could have done, I could have explored a little more, that is the opening of a relationship. It doesn't start, it doesn't close the sale there. So if you see my LinkedIn banner also, and I firmly believe in that process, that we should never celebrate closing a sale. You should always celebrate starting a relationship. So find a lose-lose ground with your customer first, right? And second, be in a committed relationship rather than a one night stand. I know one night stands may be extremely tempting and lucrative, but at the same time, it is always easy. Now, what do I mean when I say one night stand, right? It's a one-off sale. When you just sell once, somehow, Sam Dam Dand Bhed, using Chanakya Niti, somehow you've managed to sell, and then you move on to the acquisition of the next customer, or then you move on to the finding of another business development prospect, right? Rather than that, building a relationship and continuously seeking referrals and upselling is far easier than creating business development. Please take this from a person who has spent 14 years and done her fair bit of time in key account management and business development. Business development is far more difficult than key account management and continuously growing that account. It takes lesser maintenance, it takes more built up of trust time and time again. So please think of having committed relationships with your client, not a one night stand, not a one sale closure. All right. Next, avoid the I will revert syndrome. Okay. Now, this is something very important, and I would love to spend like 2-3 minutes on it in detail. Okay. I will revert. I will revert. When does this situation happen in your life? When the client quotes a price which you do not have the approval of, when the client wants a package that you do not know whether you can customize or not, When the client wants a varied payment option, whether you can have or not. Why? Because you did not have a firm discussion with your stakeholder, with your boss, or with the people who are the decision makers about what is the lowest price that you can sell it at, or what is the what are the different payment modes available, or what are the different permutations and combinations available for customization. And then when the client shoots across a query and you say, I will get back to you, that delay, because now you will go back to your boss who may or may not respond on time. It will take some time. And then you revert back to the customer. The customer may or may not receive your call. The customer may or may not be busy. So all of that is just loss of time. When you sit at a negotiation table, know your limitations, all right? So if you look at this screen, you've all done KYC, right? Know your certificates in your Aadhaar card and your banking system and everything. This is what I call KYN, know your negotiation. What are the negotiation pointers that you have a decision on, so that you don't have to check back with your boss every single time and come back saying, oh, I will get back to you on this. Oh, I will revert to you on this. Know your limitations, that this is the best that the product can do or the service can do, and this is the best proposal that you can offer. Know your final price. Understand. So there's a thumb rule that works here, all right? So if you want to sell something at $100, right? Then if 100 is the last price that you can sell it at, you quote 200, you settle at 150. It's a very simple mechanics, right? But for that, you need to know the 100. That 100 beyond which you cannot go. 99 is not a sale which is acceptable to your organization. Understand that. No boss will deny it. No finance guy denies giving you this piece of information. All right. Okay. I hope these things help. Now, officially, I have reached to the end of my presentation. But yes, if you aren't bored yet, and I seem to see that there is still some time. So there are some bonus pointers along with tactics, right? Number one is price sensitivity, because that's one of the major blockers in a sales life cycle. That's one of the major blockers in a deal. Price sensitivity. How do you manage questions on price? This seems a little too overpriced, or this seems out of my budget range. How do you handle that? So one can be a very direct way of asking, okay, do you think this is out of price range? Why do you say so? What is the comparative that you have? The other can be a little more validatory. Oh, you think this is out of the price range, but I have this customer who had the similar opinion like you, but they went on to sell, but they went on to purchase from me because of this question, because of this feature, right? So there are various ways of handling price sensitivity questions. Understand that price is something that the client is going to. Don't assume that your product or your service is the best that is available, and your product or your service is the one that is going to be purchased by the client at the cost that they say. Price sensitivity is something that you need to be supremely careful about, prepared before you answer, before you go into a negotiation meeting, because you should understand that you give the cheapest price, still the person is going to ask for a discount. All right. Next, be prepared to talk about COVID. And this is something that has been my very recent learnings in the last 6 to 8 months. All right. Be prepared to talk about COVID. COVID is one thing that has impacted almost every business, right? Probably leaving the pharma business, it has impacted almost every other business very negatively. I think the BFSI sector has also improved drastically. The insurance sectors have improved drastically. But other than that, most of the businesses have taken a hit. And please expect this question from them, that in this recent pandemic times, in the COVID scenario, how do you think your product or your service will help me? That's a question which wasn't asked to me pre-pandemic, right? So this has become a kind of a deal clinch. Be prepared to answer questions regarding validity service, answers regarding relevance of your product or service in the core, not just by the industry perspective. All right. Pocket-friendly subscription retainer models. This I say, I mean, all the startups that I consult in my business space, I always tell this to them, that you have to have customized options, because it is very difficult for you to be very constricted to one model and that is it, that is my model. The best of brands, the top brands, whether it be family businesses or corporates or multinationals, to the startups, everybody follows a lot of price points, like average, if it's a yearly subscription of something, if it's a service that is selling at a yearly subscription, please understand that you have options for a quarterly or a monthly or a biannually kind of cycle. Similarly with the product, if it is B2B or B2C, have different payment options available. All right.
Okay. Someone is asking a question. What is KYL and
I will take that up. Just give me a moment. I think this is the last slide, and then we can take up questions in detail, if that's okay with you, Chitra.
No problem.
Okay, visual aids. Okay, this is very interesting, and this is something that started as an experiment with me, but I found a little quite a considerable success in doing this, right? So if you can see the picture here, you see there are lots of ticks available, right? So whenever I used to send my mails, I used to attach this kind of a picture where there were green ticks on many things, like discussion of proposal, finalization of commercials, looking at the draft of the legal agreement, these lot of things where it was a tick, and there was only one cross at the end, which was signing the agreement, right? So that is what I say when I say visual aids. Have something visually impactful to them, that we have covered up together so many processes, right? From people have really understood so many processes, right from the first meeting till the finalization of the legal agreement, and all that's remaining is signing of the document. So that gives a kind of a psychological push to the person to get that green ticked as well. And one thing, while you're praying for your sales to close, while you're praying for the customer to transfer the money into your organization's account, please keep sending across testimonials for engaging. Please keep sending across testimonials of your customer, anything that's available on the website. Don't just presume that the customer knows it. Don't just presume that the customer will go to your website and understand it. Out of sight, out of mind can never go out of relevance, right? So keep sending your testimonials across about what your existing customers say about you, or what are the kind of variety of things that people that you've associated with talk about you, right? And I'm sure a happy customer will not refrain from sending you your testimonial, whether it be written or a word of mouth, howsoever, right? Video testimonials are all the rage these days. Please go ahead and get your people to refer you publicly, even just to you yourself, so that you can share it across. I think we've very, very nice time frame. Chitra, I am open to taking questions if somebody wants to just unmute themselves and take up, or else I'll just look at the chat and kind of answer the question. What is KYL and KYO? Hi, Mahalakshmi.
Yeah, whatever people are comfortable with.
So KYL, do you want to read the questions, or should I just take them up, Chitra?
No, just take them up. If you're comfortable with the chat, reading from chat, no problem.
Yeah, I'm super comfortable. Okay, so KYL is know your limitations. So there are certain limiting factors, Mahalakshmi, beyond which bend to suit the customer's need in a deal, right? So know those limitations, that these are deal breakers. If the customer asks you anything beyond that, you will not the deal, and you will have no option but to walk off from the table. So know those limitations, exactly point, right? And when you talk about KYO, is know your options. What are the different options that you can furnish to the customer, whether it's a full-blown package, whether it's a 3-4 service customized package, or whether it's any different kinds of payment options. What are the order? If the plan A, which is the staple standard procedure, or the staple standard payment mode, or staple standard product or service proposal does not work, then what is it that can work? What is your plan B? What is your plan C? Right? I hope I've answered your question, Mahalakshmi. I am a placement officer and I persuade HR to hire my pupils. My students are my end products. How can I implement what you stated regarding distraction? So when Kajal, can you unmute yourself and elaborate a little bit more on the question? Is it that the students purchase the product directly from you, or is it that the students' parents make that decision? Hi, Kajal.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, actually, I persuade HR to hire my students. That means they visit my college and they hire my students. And
so you're a placement officer for your own college and you want...
Yeah.
Okay.
How can I implement the distraction? Whatever you told, all the steps, I can imagine and I can implement those. But this distraction, I couldn't understand. If you make it elaborate.
So sometimes, okay, I am just thinking out of the box. A very specific example, and I would love to take this conversation offline. But just to answer, Kajal, understand the permutation and combinations of students that you can give. So I am assuming placement officer, so there are mass placements that happen, right? And many a times companies come and they pick up batches of 10 or batches of 20 or batches of 5 into their organizations as interns or as associates or summer associates or whatever, right? So when you have that, actually is your leveraging factor to tell them. So in this, I mean, you know your children, right? Who are the ones who perform better, or who are the ones who will do very fantastic, or who are the ones who will get a very high CTC package. So tell them that I am willing to, throw in these 2 people for your organization, which will be an asset while they have ongoing offers from 3-4 more people. But I will persuade them to take up your offer if you take up these 2 children of mine who you are finding difficult to place. So I kind of do something. So, or I'll say, whoever they liked the best, whoever was the star performer, take it away from them. Say, until and unless you give me a placement for these 2 kids, I'm not him because he has an existing offer for 3-4. I mean, I'm just thinking of out of the box here. We can of course take this conversation in a much detailed manner offline. All right.
Right.
Thank you so much, Kajal. Richa, what can be an interesting pitch for telecallers in a school admission team? I'm from please, Richa, please learn from Byju's. I think I cannot give them credit enough. While there is a lot of negative air about them on social media, and I understand they're facing their own operational challenges, but one thing that they have perfectly capitalized on is FOMO, fear of missing out. They have capitalized that so brilliantly into the parent mindset that their pitch, when they pitch, so what you need to do, Richa, is go on Byju's website and log in a query. Okay, let the Byju's guy call you and understand what their pitch is. That is the best pitch that you can make for child, right? Just replace their products with your products. I am 100% sure it will work.
Rimjhim, actually the point is, when we have young girls in the telecalling team, so I have heard them calling. Point is, like, if they call up someone, a random number hai, they call up someone, they are into agricultural equipment industry. So now how to get to that point where they start talking about children?
So there is no, again, see, that depends on the validity of the database. If the database you have is proven to, then you somewhere know that, okay, these children, these people that I'm speaking to have kids who are school going age, right? You need to have some kind of scrubbing done on the database. Then it's not a calling problem, it's a database issue. Number 1. Number 2, once that database is scrubbed off, then train your telecallers to talk about FOMO. FOMO works very, very well with parents. Fear of missing out. It is that quintessential शर्मा जी का बेटा कर रहा है तो मेरा बेटा भी करेगा. You know, that works brilliantly. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll work on it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank
And you
you,
can
Rimjhim.
anytime get in touch with me, Richa. You're a sweetheart.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rimjhim. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Rani, won't it become irritating for the client to receive unasked testimonials? Yes, it will if you haggle that person 4 times in a day. Otherwise, it won't. A simple, soft message of testimonial goes a long way. And COVID has made people more empathetic, more gratuitous, and full of gratitude. That has, in general, upped the empathy quotient. So, sounding like a cruel, selfish saleswoman, I would say, please capitalize on that empathy of the client and ask for a testimonial. If you don't ask, it is a no. If you ask and you do not get, it still is a no. There is no harm in asking. No, there's a 50% possibility you might just get a testimonial. As simple as that. It's all to ask, right? You know, I mean, I have seen people, and I've suggested people when they were somebody was starting their Madhubani painting business. Okay, so she's a very good painter, and she asked me, how can I sell these paintings and how can I publicize about myself on social media? So it was just around New Year's. I said, send a New Year message, but instead of sending, may God give you and your family lots of prosperity, health, wealth, happiness, send a message that with this new year, I am starting a new beginning. This is what I'm doing. And I think I speak for female empowerment when a homemaker for the last 30 years is venturing into her own business. That has an emotional attachment to the message. That has a personalized attachment to the message. And there's a very decent chance that the person might just show interest or might just forward it to 5 different people. All right. So I'll give you my example, right? I had to broadcast my webinar for today. So when I'm putting in the message to different people, I tell them that this is very helpful. I'm not saying please come and attend, please register. What I said is this is very good for people who are in the mid. This will be very interesting for people who are in the mid or the lower level management in sales, and also for budding entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. Obviously that has a personalized feel to it when they get to know, okay, there is something in it for me particularly. I hope I answered your question, Rani. KYF final price, Richa Sharma. KYFP, know your final. What to do if customer seems more interesting in competitor majorly because of commercials? See, you can. Most of the sales do not close on the product, feature, or the service. All of them in the market have the same thing. It closes on what kind of a relationship you build, how good you are at responding to their remarks with humor. So if somebody asks me this question, oh, your competitor is spending crores and lakhs and this and that, I just tell them I say one thing in response to them. I say, yeah, they have to spend lakhs in commercial because their product is super poor. I don't need to spend. My product speaks for itself. And I laugh it off. It's not like I'm actually making a statement. I understand the competitor's product is also very similar to mine. But then I just laugh it off. I carry it down into a humorous, I give it a humorous angle so that the person is deviated from what he was trying to say. That works, Jayashree, for me. Okay, how to start a conversation again if customer has ghosted you after? I told you, Jayashree, you will have to find your chance, smart tactics. You will have to find some kind of a conversation starter. Stalk them on LinkedIn. You saw the LinkedIn thing? Stalk them on LinkedIn. That works brilliantly for me. All right. Or else some kind of a reminiscence of previous interaction, bring some conversation, common ground for conversation to ghost. But at the same time, understand that after 3 attempts, if the person is not interested, he's not interested. You have to move on. He has to move on. The client, I mean. All right.
Thank you, Rimjhim.
Don't be after that person all the time, because then he will not really like it. All right. What can be some tactics for offering in a negotiation for a particular question, Purnima, and I would love to take this offline, right? Because tech products are very easy to pitch in general. Tech products, anybody buys in the last 1.5 years, given the kind of digital transformation the world has seen. So the offering is extremely lucrative any which ways. If it is core negotiation about, you can probably put in a bunch of complementing software features or complementary update or some kind of an AMC associated to give complimentary if the person closes it's that day itself or in a week's time or something like that. Vipin, product-driven scalability or sales-driven scalability? Which one you prefer? I think both of them are interdependent, Vipin. I mean, you cannot have sales-driven scalability if you do not have a product, if you are not thinking making your product scalable, because economies of scale and business expansion go hand in hand. You cannot have economies of scale and your business is, and then and you cannot have sales scaling up and your product capacity is not sufficient enough to meet the demand in the market. So I think both of them go hand in hand. It has to be a love marriage between the two. But out of them, if you personally, because I'm a saleswoman, so I will say sales driven scalability.
Many times what I experience is when like as you said, many times during the COVID, if we use the emotional card, then it backfires and the customer wants a more technological driven approach.
Of course, that is
a professional approach.
Right. Very true, Anamikaji. And I'm glad that you pointed this out, because it helps solve a query in many people's mind who might have a similar understanding. See, when I say I'm playing the empathy card, it doesn't mean I'm playing the empathy card 100% of the time. So customer segmentation is extremely important here. If you do not, you need to understand your market segmentation, which are the products that will work well on empathy. Now, when you're talking about technology will not work on empathy. It won't. But when you're talking about selling consulting, selling mentoring services, selling counseling, selling maybe coaching sessions, selling these kind of things where human interaction is paramount, there I think empathy plays a big role. So that as a salesperson or as a pitcher, you have to be prudent enough to first understand whether this is a proposal or a proposition where empathy can drive the conversation. If it cannot, then first focus on the technological features of it, and then not empathy but human interaction, because at the end of the day, sales is between two people, right? It is, if the frequency matches, if the vibes match, the person will purchase your product even if your product is not the best in the market. But if the vibes don't match, even if your product is the best, they will not purchase it. So when I say empathy, I don't just mean empathy, I cover the entire paradigm of the human interaction process.
I mean, I know we have to sell ourselves also, no? So I want to understand some of the techniques which can be used for selling ourselves. We have to sell ourselves to our bosses all the time.
Varuni, you cannot be an iron lady and not know this.
No, I know.
Shamelessly brand yourself. So I must have given since yesterday, since the time Chitra put up the post, on LinkedIn, I think I went on every social media known to mankind and posted there and conversed with people and just sent it shamelessly. Any which ways, brand yourself the way it is. All right. Be shamelessly unapologetic about it. At the most, what they will do, they will ignore. They anyways did not know. They anyways were not coming. So big deal, right? Be shamelessly unapologetic about branding yourself. We feel hesitant. We feel that embarrassment. Oh, somebody's messaged. We have messaged. Not even respond back. Now I feel so bad about it. Why I feel bad? This brings me to another very nice statement. I tell them that sales guys, all right, that I would use this sentence in Hindi, the first sentence, okay? So अपनी चमड़ी ना गेंडे की चमड़ी बनाइए, rhinoceros वाला चमड़ी, which doesn't get affected by anything, right? It's a humiliation, it's an embarrassment, doesn't get affected because it is not you that they are hinting at, right? So be unaffected and just go on and do what you want to do. Follow your heart.